The Indo-Aryan migrations, one of the most significant events in the history of South Asia, have had profound impacts on the region's linguistic, cultural, and social landscape. These migrations, occurring over a period of several millennia, played a pivotal role in shaping the ancient and modern identity of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, and surrounding areas. The Indo-Aryan migration theory suggests that speakers of Proto-Indo-European languages gradually migrated into the Indian subcontinent, bringing with them their language, culture, and social structures. This article delves into the details of the Indo-Aryan migrations, exploring the historical, linguistic, archaeological, and genetic evidence that underpins this complex process. Introduction to Indo-Aryan migrations. The Indo-Aryan migrations refer to the movement of Indo-European-speaking peoples from Central Asia into the Indian subcontinent. These migrations are closely tied to the spread of the Indo-European language family, one of the world's largest and most widespread language families. The Indo-Aryans, a branch of the larger Indo-European group, are believed to have spoken an early form of Sanskrit and contributed significantly to the development of the Vedic culture and the eventual rise of Hinduism, Buddhism, and other religious traditions in South Asia. The concept of Indo-Aryan migrations is not just linguistic, it also encompasses cultural and societal changes. The migrations are believed to have begun around 2000 BCE or earlier and continued for several centuries. This long and complex process gradually transformed the social fabric of South Asia, laying the foundations for the early religious texts of Hinduism, the caste system, and the Vedic civilization. Linguistic evidence for the Indo-Aryan migrations. The most compelling evidence for the Indo-Aryan migrations comes from the study of languages. The Indo-Aryan languages, which form a subgroup of the larger Indo-European family, include languages such as Sanskrit, Prakrit, Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, and others. The spread of these languages in South Asia is considered a direct result of the migration and settlement of Indo-Aryan-speaking peoples. The role of Sanskrit, the ancient language of the Vedas, is central to the Indo-Aryan migration theory. According to linguistic studies, Sanskrit belongs to the Indo-Iranian branch of the Indo-European language family. The development of Sanskrit and its spread in South Asia marks the arrival of Indo-Aryan speakers. The Vedic texts, composed in early Sanskrit, provide valuable insights into the early stages of this migration and the life of the people who brought the language to the region. The Rig Veda, one of the oldest and most important Vedic texts, is considered a key linguistic artifact of the Indo-Aryans. Its language is a form of early Vedic Sanskrit, and its hymns are believed to have been composed by the migrating Indo-Aryans in the northwestern part of the subcontinent. Scholars have identified several linguistic features in Vedic Sanskrit that suggest the language's connection to the broader Indo-European family, particularly the languages of the Iranian Plateau and Central Asia. The Aryan Migration Hypothesis. The Aryan migration hypothesis posits that the Indo-Aryans entered the Indian subcontinent from the steppes of Central Asia and Iran, possibly via the northwestern passes of the Hindu Kush Mountains. Over time, these groups spread into the Indo-Gangetic Plains and other parts of South Asia. The migration of these peoples is believed to have occurred in multiple waves over a long period, and their arrival marked a dramatic shift in the linguistic and cultural landscape of the subcontinent. One of the key pieces of evidence supporting the migration hypothesis is the similarity between Vedic Sanskrit and the ancient languages of the Iranian Plateau, such as Avestan. This linguistic affinity suggests a common ancestral language, which further supports the idea of a migration from the northwest. Archaeological evidence provides crucial insights into the Indo-Aryan migrations, complementing the linguistic data. The presence of certain material culture elements, such as pottery styles, burial practices, and architectural features, helps trace the movement and settlement patterns of Indo-Aryan-speaking peoples. The Indus Valley Civilization and its collapse. The decline of the Indus Valley Civilization, circa 1900 BCE, is often associated with the onset of the Indo-Aryan migrations. While the causes of the collapse are still debated, it is generally believed that a combination of environmental, social, and possibly external factors contributed to the decline of this advanced Bronze Age civilization. Some scholars argue that the arrival of Indo-Aryan-speaking pastoralists in the northwestern regions may have played a role in the downfall of the Indus Valley civilization. The end of the Indus Valley civilization corresponds with the rise of the Vedic culture in the northwestern part of the subcontinent, particularly in the regions near the Sarasvati River, which is now mostly dry, and the Indus River. The Vedic texts mention several rivers and regions that align with the geography of the Indus Valley and the northwestern territories, suggesting that the Indo-Aryans were in direct contact with the remnants of the earlier civilization. The Kurgan hypothesis, proposed by Maria Gimbutas, suggests that the Indo-Europeans originated from the Pontic-Caspian steppes, modern-day Ukraine, southern Russia, and Kazakhstan. According to this hypothesis, the Kurgan people, named after their burial mounds, migrated southward over several centuries and played a key role in the spread of Indo-European languages. Archaeological evidence from the Kurgan culture, such as the construction of large burial mounds and the domestication of horses, aligns with the linguistic and genetic data supporting the Indo-Aryan migrations into South Asia. Pottery and burial practices. Pottery styles and burial practices in South Asia provide important archaeological markers of cultural change. The so-called grayware pottery, found in the northwestern subcontinent, is often associated with the Indo-Aryan-speaking groups that migrated into the region. This pottery style appears in the archaeological record during the transition from the late Harappan phase, the final phase of the Indus Valley civilization, to the early Vedic period. Additionally, burial practices changed during the period of Indo-Aryan migration. While the Indus Valley civilization is known for its elaborate and standardized burial practices, the incoming Indo-Aryans appear to have adopted different practices, such as the use of cremation. This shift is seen as indicative of cultural and religious changes brought by the new settlers. Genetic evidence and population movements. Advances in genetics have provided valuable insights into the human population movements associated with the Indo-Aryan migrations. Genetic studies of ancient DNA from archaeological sites in South Asia, as well as modern genetic data, have shown evidence of complex population interactions. The Aryan gene and the spread of haplogroups genetic studies have identified certain haplogroups, genetic markers that are passed down through generations, associated with the migration of Indo-Aryan speakers. One of the key markers linked to the Indo-European migration is the R1A haplogroup, which is commonly found in populations across Europe, Central Asia, and South Asia. The presence of R1A in South Asian populations is believed to be a result of the migration of Indo-Aryan speakers into the region. Recent studies, including the analysis of ancient DNA from sites in the northwestern subcontinent, have confirmed the presence of genetic markers associated with both the steppe populations of Eurasia and the indigenous populations of South Asia. This evidence supports the idea of significant gene flow between these populations during the period of the Indo-Aryan migrations. The Indus Valley ancestry studies of ancient genomes from the Indus Valley civilization and the surrounding regions suggest that the Indus Valley population was genetically distinct but shared common ancestry with populations in the Iranian Plateau and Central Asia. This further complicates the narrative of the Indo-Aryan migrations, as it suggests that the people of the Indus Valley might have already been genetically linked to the incoming Indo-Aryans to some extent, even before the mass migrations occurred. Cultural and religious impacts of the Indo-Aryan migrations. The cultural and religious impact of the Indo-Aryan migrations cannot be overstated. The arrival of Indo-Aryan-speaking peoples brought with it new religious practices, social structures, and cultural traditions that would go on to shape the civilization of ancient India. The Vedic religion and the caste system, one of the most significant contributions of the Indo-Aryans, was the development of the Vedic religion, which laid the foundation for what would later become Hinduism. The Vedas, the sacred texts of the Vedic tradition, contain hymns dedicated to a pantheon of gods, rituals, and philosophical ideas. These texts form the earliest layer of Indian religious thought and continue to influence religious practices in South Asia to this day. The Vedic society also introduced the concept of Varna, a system of social stratification that would later evolve into the caste system. This hierarchical social structure became one of the defining features of Indian society and played a major role in shaping the social, political, and economic organization of ancient and medieval India. The spread of Indo-Aryan culture. The Indo-Aryans contributed to the spread of Indo-European culture across South Asia, influencing art, literature, and political organization. Their influence is evident in the Sanskritized languages spoken across much of the subcontinent, as well as in the numerous cultural practices and customs that trace their origins to the Vedic period. The cultural exchange between the Indo-Aryans and the indigenous populations of South Asia also led to the synthesis of new traditions. Over time, the Vedic culture absorbed elements from local cultures, resulting in the rich and diverse tapestry of Indian civilization. Conclusion: the Indo-Aryan migrations were a complex and multifaceted phenomenon that had a profound and lasting impact on the history of South Asia. Linguistic, archaeological, genetic, and cultural evidence all point to the gradual movement of Indo-Aryan-speaking peoples into the Indian subcontinent, starting from around 2000 BCE or earlier. These migrations led to the establishment of the Vedic civilization, the development of Hinduism, and the formation of the social and religious structures that continue to shape South Asia to this day. While the details of the Indo-Aryan migrations remain the subject of ongoing research and debate, the broad outlines of this process are clear. The Indo-Aryans, through a series of migrations over several centuries, transformed the cultural and linguistic landscape of South Asia, laying the foundations for one of the world's oldest and most enduring civilizations.